Good evening, thank you everyone. As JD said, my name is Ariel Trahan. I'm the Director of Education at the Anacostia Watershed Society. We're a local nonprofit focused on cleaning up and restoring the Anacostia River. So we have been around for 25 years. This is our 25th anniversary this year. So we've made a lot of progress on cleaning up the river, but there's still a long way to go to get to our goal, which is having the Anacostia River be swimmable and fishable. So we have a lot of different programs where we're trying to engage the public in that process of cleaning up the river. So I specifically work on our education programs. We also have stewardship programs. We're engaged in a lot of advocacy work and then also recreation. So just getting people out on the river. Most people haven't seen the Anacostia River, so getting them out there so they can see it and then get engaged in cleaning that up. So tonight I'm going to be talking about a project we are currently working on, a public art project where we are painting murals on the storm drains that are of local wildlife, plants and animals, so that when people see those storm drains and they see those plants and animals painted on there, they can make that connection that no matter where you are, even if you're walking down the street, you're still connected to our local waterways. So before I talk about that project specifically, I just want to talk a little bit about watersheds. So right now, we're in a number of different watersheds, right? No matter where you are in the world, you're in more than one watershed. So the watershed most people are most familiar with is the Chesapeake Bay watershed. So what a watershed is, if you don't know, it's an area of land that drains into a specific body of water, right? So that means a raindrop, if it were raining right now, falls on the road out there on Constitution Avenue, it's going to go down a storm drain, it's going to end up in the Potomac River, then it's going to end up in the Chesapeake Bay. So we are focused specifically on the Anacostia watershed, which we are just a little bit outside of right now, but you can see on the far right that is the Anacostia watershed, so it encompasses most of the eastern portion of DC, a good chunk of Prince George's County, as well as Montgomery County. So the river itself is about 8 miles long, but the watershed is about 176 square miles. So a lot of that land that's draining into the Anacostia is actually in Maryland, so we do a lot of work both in Maryland and in DC, trying to raise awareness, connect people to the river, engage them in restoration projects. The other major term that I want to talk about before I show you some of the pictures of the public art project is stormwater runoff. So that's kind of our main enemy when we're fighting to clean up the Anacostia River, is stormwater runoff. So this picture is a little bit cartoony, but I think it really gets the point across of what is happening. We're in a very urban environment, so we have a lot of impervious surfaces, right? So we have a lot of roads, we have a lot of sidewalks, we have a lot of buildings, surfaces where the water can't soak into the ground, right? The normal water cycle is disrupted. And so when the water hits those surfaces, goes through these storm drains and ends up in our local waterways. So the stormwater runoff is really the vehicle that's bringing a lot of that pollution into the river. A lot of the trash, a lot of the chemicals, all that stuff is really being brought in by that sheer volume of stormwater runoff that we have in an urban environment. So we do lots of different projects. Like I was saying, we have about 25 different staff members, and we do boots on the ground restoration projects where we're trying to reduce the volume of water that's getting into the river. So we do lots of rain gardens, we do lots of green roofs, we do lots of meadow plantings, riparian buffer plantings, things to just reduce the volume of water. But we also do a lot of education and awareness projects just to get people to understand that this is really even happening, that this is really part of the equation. So the idea behind the storm drain mural project was to paint those storm drains themselves so that people can make that connection that is draining into our local waterways. So these are some pictures of some of the murals that we have recently painted. We've done 39 murals so far. We did 10 in Brookland in Northeast DC, and we did, recently we just did 19 in Maryland, in Hyattsville and Riverdale Park, and then we also did 10 in Mount Rainier, Maryland. And so sort of what our model has been is working with local artists and local students to paint these murals. So we put out a call for artists, and then we get lots of submissions from local artists. We provide a small stipend per drain for those designs. And then what we do, I have a next slide here that kind of shows you the process. So what we do is we whitewash the drains first, and then we have the artists come out and draw their design with the Sharpie. We found is the easiest way to do that. then we have the kids come out, and so what we've done is we've had the murals clustered around local schools so that we can engage students to come out and paint those murals. We do lots of education programs. That's what I do most of the time. This mural project is one of our more recent developments, but all of our education programs are 3-part service learning programs for students where we're going into the classroom, we're working with them on hands-on lessons, then they come out on the Anacostia River on a field trip so they can see the river, and then they're engaged in some sort of service learning project. So it could be planting trees, it could be planting wetlands, or for some of these students recently has been coming out and painting these murals near their school. So the students come out and paint the murals, and then we have the artists come afterwards and kind of put the finishing touches on the murals so that they are beautiful pieces of art in the community. So, like I said, student engagement is really important to this project because what we're really trying to do ultimately is clean up the Anacostia River and also connect people to the river. So bringing the students out, having them paint these murals that are right next to their school so that then they're seeing those murals every day. A lot of these schools, the students are walking to school with their parents. So we're really reaching a lot of people that way, having them clustered near the schools and places of gathering. Engaging local artists has also been really important. This picture on the left kind of shows how the mural is after the students were done with it, and then how it looks after the artist has come and put the finishing touches on it. So it really has been a true partnership with the students and the artists. This just kind of also shows some of the detail work that the artists have come and put on the murals afterwards, really highlighting, again, the wildlife so that people are seeing those murals, making that connection, hopefully, that there is wildlife and that, oh, you see all that water running in there, that's going into our waterways. We've also, another neat aspect of the project is a lot of the designs have been really involved in placemaking. So you can see on the left here, 2 of those designs, those were both done by the same artist. Those were both in Brookland, incorporating parts of the neighborhood. So the one incorporating the Brookland sign that's right near the metro, and then the one on the bottom is a visual representation of the yarn bomb that was done on the Brooklyn Bridge, where students and community members had lots of yarn art that was on the bridge, and so that mural is right next to that, so that's kind of neat. As well as these 2, which are in Maryland, where it's incorporating the wildlife as well as the Maryland flag. This one also is sort of the visual representation of the message that we're trying to convey with the storm drains. This one is in Brookland as well. And so basically you can see that there's the rain coming down onto the streets, and the streets are painted blue to represent that the water is then flowing down the streets into the Anacostia River. So that one, we're hoping to have a sign up at that drain that has a map of where all the other drains are so that people can then see that drain, see the sign, which has an explanation of the project, has a map of the watershed, talks a little bit about stormwater, and then they can see where the other murals are. So one of the big things that sort of the next step of this project is how do we kind of take it to the next level so that people see the murals, but they might just see it as sort of a neighborhood beautification project. How do we really make that connection for people, make it more explicit? So we've been using social media. We've also put QR codes on all of them. We've put stickers on them that have our logo, and they have our website and a QR code that links to the maps of where all the other drains are located, as well as I was referencing earlier, putting up signage that has maps of where the other ones are located, that talks about stormwater runoff, talks about the importance of making sure pollution isn't going down these drains. So that's all.